when there is a Japanese invasion, so they actually destroyed many of the homes and many of the families. So one of his family is one of them. And in this painting he has depicted the problem happened with his family, that his grandfather actually committed suicide. And this is the Japanese the imperial troops of that time. So this is the first one of his first painting. Means like painting as a person, like not the drawing and sketching. So it's done in 1972 when he's 16 years old. So this is the, and especially if I have to tell about these works are in this initial struggling time. It's called the apartment. Yeah, it's in his initial days. So what it is like, he was struggling because all his family wealth and other things were destroyed and others, and he is doing his regular bachelor's like everyone at the 1970s, 79. So he's like, it's like one of an utopian idea to have an apartment to live in it. So he used to go there and see there, and he used to sketch this apartment. So this, especially he stuck to the Hanji paper, what I have said. Hanji paper is a very costly one. Even today, the Korean artist is quite expensive to affordable. So he doesn't have that much of money to buy Hanji paper and other things of this sizes. So what he has done is like his friends who could afford the Hanji papers, when they have done the paper, painting and others, so the borders which were cut and other pieces, he used to gather and he stick that one. Like there is small pieces where he stick all the papers, use it different glue and others, sometimes his saliva and others to put it here. At the time also, like in stone itself is also very expensive. So he got the very cheapest stone, which doesn't have this fragrance smell included in it, so it smells. So his friends used not to come to his studio because it is quite smelling at that. So, but he is not affordable to make framing and others. So what he have done is like he used the big tree branches. He made 4 branches, tied this one, and sent to the competition. And this got the award. And that one he got in such a huge amount that he could afford a 2-room apartment as a price. So that the pigments, the paper will soak the pigments and it comes out. So actually what we are seeing is that he painted on the reverse side. So this is one of the work wherein highest monk have passed away, whereas this procession is happening. So we have done some scholars painting and also some of the highest monks, portraits and others. And there is a video in this one where he got an award. Korea has an award like Artist of the Year. In 1999, he got an award of the Artist of the Year as a Korean artist. So there is an from National Museum of Contemporary Art. So the video is displayed here with the translation. So you can watch it, and his interview is there in this one. Especially to the subject matters are like to say how he points out his point of view. Like this one is like most of the paintings, his family were his models. This is wife, his son and daughter. Wife, son and daughter. So he actually draws his family because they are readily available to that one. So this is about, it's called a day, I feel like spitting a watermelon seed out. Why I am pointing this one is like, you can see a normal day, a person's eating watermelon, enjoying a meal and other things. But the thing the artist, Mr. Kimoso, thinks very deeply and try to depict is like, if you notice anything, it's Korean, I cannot read, but actually it's an article on economy of that country, about the boosting of the Korean economy and other things. So the watermelon is the cheapest fruit for an affordable thing. So he is actually juxtaposing 2 different things to make the things visible to that. So their family on a summer day can only afford to eat an watermelon. So he makes more thinking into that. So that's how the artist thinks in a different way. I just want to mention that, like, what visible, there are underlying meanings. He uses a metaphor as a medium to tell his emotions or express his feelings. But first I would like to ask, what do you think about this work? Anybody can volunteer to tell about this work?
Alexis?
Yeah, you have asked her, like, I mean, why did you choose about this guy?
It's so beautiful. It's just like a real cat.
Okay.
Like everything about it is so perfect.
Yeah.
And there's so much detail in that, but
Yes.
the fish thingy is not that much.
So yeah, actually this is called the contemplative sound. What I will mention what I have read from this work actually is that as he uses the metaphors of the things. So this a cat looking at a fish. Actually in Korea, in the temples, there is this bell. On the Korean structures, there is this wind chime with a fish going here and there, so that the sound happens, wind chime happens. So if you see, what I have read from this image is that the cat actually loves the fish. I can say that it is a desire to have something, but the truth is that it's not a real fish. It's a metal fish which was done. So the cat can think that, yeah, I want to eat that fish. But in reality is that even if one thing is that it is not, it cannot reach that place. But even if it reach it, it is not, it cannot eat it. So the thing is that I can say I related this with the desires that we have. I wanted these ones and other things. But the truth sometimes is like the truth has another interpretation. Like even if we get it, we cannot be enjoying that. So, and that's what he said, contemplating a sound with his text, and that one I have read like this. This one. Indian ink especially, because the ink, what he uses is, like I met with some another of his friends and others where I got to know the things like the cockroaches painting. Actually, I got to know that he raised cockroaches in Korean society. The cockroaches will not be there. So I got to know that he raised the cockroaches and used to draw morning to evening for 1 month. He used to draw that one to understand that. So that's why I'm mentioning is that's the engagement that actually, I mean, I got the admiration for him. So he have this studious nature of like going to, he has a regular habit of going to studio in the morning, 7 o'clock, and he comes back at 4 o'clock. So he regularly does that practice, and I mentioned about the rat whiskers. Like it have to be tend to painted every day or like to draw sketches and other things. So that is that. About this work is actually a fish which was eaten. So he mentions that the cat can sleep in the night and other things. And he says that a cat needs a fish to eat. It's not like it loves the fish, but actually it needs a fish to eat to improve its vision. Especially this fish, especially it likes the pregnant fish with the eggs. So this is actually a portrayal of a pregnant fish. So where these understanding actually we can also put it into the present scenario thinking. Means like how the political scenarios in this one's like it becomes more vibrant with the sources, like the persons who interpret it and others. So that's the story, and he says the hiding inside the eye. And one another story he mentioned about why he wants to display these works to India, and why he wanted the Indian audience to criticize or like to what they understand. He is wishing to know why it is, because he considers like yes, most of his he have a very love of India, and he reads well. And he has one another thing. Personally, what I know is that he have a collection of 3 libraries, 2 libraries. He has his 2 personal libraries which consists of 3 lakhs books, mostly visible. As an artist, in English, he can read well, he cannot speak, he can understand, but so he reads a lot, and he was much influenced by the Indian way of things, and that's why he called that as an Indian, not a Korean or not a Sunni. He says that it's originated from India, so he considers himself like he is a painter with Indian, and all the philosophies, and he considers that India is the land of the zero, which is the lowest, and he also considers that India is the land of the extinct, the infinity. So, which was given India has given to the entire world. He considers that India is philosophically enriched within the roots of India. So then one day he said that he is watching while coming. There is an ant which is carrying a dead body of an ant. So what he thought, like, okay, this is very great. An ant is carrying its dead cousin or like dead fellow to that one. Then he got to know, then he started thinking about it, and then again he observed and see that he got to know that actually the ant really didn't carry that one. It is actually, there was a fight between ants, like the colonies fight, and while it was fighting, it was killed, and it is a burden to carry, but it has no other choice. He considers himself as a very young student to India. Actually, I will not say any other thing. Whenever he approaches us, like me or any other countries, he wanted to learn more from India and to understand more. That's actually, yeah. Thank you for being patient to my very limited vocabulary. I'm not much fluent in English. So this is what my engagement with artists is.
영리하고 똘똘한 크리에이터에서 내가 부탁을 했는데 직접 작가에게 물어보고 싶은 게 있으면 제가 아는 범위 내에서는 얘기해드리겠습니다.
So, since he is a very excellent curator, so he already he asked challenge to explain about all the works of art. Then, so if anyone has questions, so you can ask.
질문 있으면 질문해 주세요. 왜냐면 여기에는 외국의 여러 나라에 가서 전시를 해봤어도 인도 사람들만큼 그림을 탁월하게 해석하거나 이해하는 사람이 없어요.
So he held an exhibition several times abroad, but only Indians so have depth knowledge on understanding his art works.
왜냐면 인도 특유의 철학이 형성되어 있는 거예요.
Because already in India there is
More intelligent.
So Indian philosophy is already formed here. So
근데 문제는 말을 하나 드리면요. 인디아는 색깔이 많잖아요. 컬러가.
So India has various colors, right?
그렇죠? 근데 그것을 인도 분들은 인도 특징이라고 생각해요.
So Indian think the variety of color is one of characteristic in India.
근데 인도와 유사한 유도 경도를 가지고 있는 나라는 거의 유사해요.
So actually, this is not the characteristic of India because other countries where have the similar climate temperature, I think. Yeah. So this is not the characteristic of
멕시코를 가도 인도하고 거의 유사해요.
Yes. So is in Mexico. Same.
아주 색깔이 굉장히 많고 향신료가 많아요.
Yeah, even in Mexico, there are numerous spices and colors like India.
그래서 인도라는 나라가 거대한 나라지만 이런 향토적인 특징, 기후, 무슨 뭐 이런 것에 의한 특징은 외국과 유사하다고 하는 거예요.
So actually, the regional characteristics are similar to other countries.
그런데 세상의 그 많은 모든 색깔들을 전부 믹서기에 집어넣고 돌리면 혼합하면 무슨 색깔이 나올까요?
So,
여기 있는 거 전체를
yeah,
다
how many people know if we mix all of colors, so mix all color in the mixer, so which color can be?
Black.
검정이.
Exactly.
그 검정색 속에는 사람이 보면 빨강, 노랑, 파랑 모든 색깔이 다 들어있는 거예요.
Yeah, so black color includes everything.
그래서 인도 사람들이 인디안 잉크를 만든 거예요.
So that's why Indians made Indian ink.
그런데 그 인디안 잉크가 중국에 가고 이집트에 가고 다 갔는데 인디아에는 인디안 잉크를 사용한 화가가 별로 없어요.
Yeah, Indian ink is originated from India, right? And then so therefore the Indian ink had been spread in several countries. But in spite of that, unfortunately, there is no Indian ink.
Yeah, that's so true.
그래서 인디안 잉크는 영국에 있어요. 예.
So now the Indian ink is in the US. I'm sorry, in UK.
세상에서 가장 새카만 잉크가 영국에 있는 거예요.
The darkest color is in UK.
다크
But it should
블랙,
be in India.
다크 블랙 또는 아이보리 블랙이라고 해요.
It is called ivory black or dark.
나는 여러분들의 조상들이 만들어 놓은 인디안 잉크를 가지고 그림 그리는 화가입니다.
Yeah, so he is a painter who is using Indian ink, which your ancestors made.
Like in all the drawings, like human behavior is portrayed even in the insect drawings. Like when in his drawing insect, there is a lot of human touch in it, like the human character in it. Like was it looking at the insect, he wanted to connect it to humans, or was it looking at humans, he wanted to connect it to the insect?
선생님이 중국 말을 곤충을 많이 그리셨는데 인간이랑 되게 연결이 돼요. 인간의 만드는 세계가 있기
곤충이 인간보다도 열등하다고 하느냐?
So do you think the insect, the little living thing like insects, is more humble than human being? Do you think so?
Do you think if the insect
혹시
is
그런
more
생각 해본 적이 있나요?
valuable or
Have you
humble?
thought about it?
See, it's just that every person has a character, every insect also has a character.
Yeah.
Like in what way is he relating it in a mass? And I just wanted to ask like that.
아니, 저는 yes 했는데요. 지금은
아니라고? 그러면
곤충이
미치다고. 이제 그렇게 생각하는 건데 인간 중심의 서양 교육이 만들어 놓은 화단이에요.
So you thought this made by one of the Western
Idea.
ideas.
내가 배우기로는 인도 철학에서 이런 것이 있어요. 나보다도 가장 못나고 가장 형편없는 것이 곧 스승이다.
인도 철학이에요.
그 사람을 받드는 것이 곧 내를 완성시키는 방법이에요.
So in Indian philosophy, so to respect the humble little living thing like insect is my teacher. I forgot.
Actually, he mentions that what we see human as a measurement.
It's my completion for the life.
Yeah, human as a measurement is a Western idea.
자,
Like,
내가-
we compare everything with the
Okay.
human thing, like the human character, human things. But he says that Indian philosophy is that everything has an individuality.
Yeah.
Coexistence, like everything has its own characteristic. But the Western idea is that we compare it with human. Is it better than human? Or like it have the human characteristics of virtues in it?
문제는 이런 거예요. 소재에 물고기를 그리든 바퀴벌레를 그리든 모스키토를 그리든 그것은 소재일 뿐이에요. 내가 만약에 붙다가 부처가 어디에 있습니까? 무엇입니까? 물어보니까 부처는 이렇게 누가 가르쳤어요. 근데 보통 사람들은 손가락을 본단 말이죠. 근데 이 사람이 부처가 뭐 불법이 무엇입니까 말했을 때 손을 가르쳤는데 보통 사람은 손을 보겠지만 특수한 현인들은 허공을 바라보면서 뭐가 있다고 생각하고 깨닫는 거죠. 그러니까 물질을 그렸으나 물질에 천착하면 그게 물질뿐이 안 돼. 자기 생각이 거기에 머물러 있는 거죠. 이해가요? 박아주 씨가 통역해보세요. 한국말을 못 알아들으니까 자, 무슨 말을 하는 거야? 통역, 트랜스레이션에
So can you get what?
트랜스레이션, 내 말을 말 못 알아듣고 지금 통역하고
Actually, I can translate that. But what
이게
the thing is
코미디인데
that the spirit of the things. Actually, in India also we have in Bhagavad Gita, like the God lies on everything, from the smallest mosquito to the highest this human measure. So it says that actually the God lies in everything. It's actually equality. Equality are like again the equality terms comes into my measurement. Like is it equal to the human? Then it's become another ego. Like we always think that the Western idea is that is always within human as a measurement. We see like better than human, better not. I mean, why it is like a vicious animal? Vicious animal because this tiger is not only a vicious animal because it does eat deer. We also eat food and others, but because it eats man, then it becomes a vicious animal. So, like that, the measurements will be the different ones. So, he says that the best is the Western philosophy, but in Indian philosophy is that is the I will not again say the equal importance. Actually, that every element in the world have a significance in it. Then it's about that how we see that.
I understood what he tried to explain is that the mosquitoes and insects are just subjects. So we should look into what is behind the subject. It's idea.
Beyond
beyond.
Yes.
What is beyond the things. So I think he tried to explain about idealism or reality. What is real reality? So it's beyond the material. Yes.
나는 그래서 그림을 그릴 때 소재는 그 말을 전달하기 위한 하나의 어법으로 빌려올 뿐이 메타포일 뿐이지 진실은 그것이 아니에요. 진실은 말하지 않는 바깥에 있는 거죠.
Yeah, the subject matter like an insect or any small thing, so just a medium of
Express more.
Yeah, to express his idea. So actually, his real concept and idea is beyond or behind the.
Form.
The image. Okay.
지금 말한 이런 내용들이 그림 속에 농밀하게 다 들어가 있어요.
So what he already told is already concentric.
Okay. So these are representational of many other ideologies.
That's why he says that I left out the forms in the painting. So he wants to think beyond that. Means like not like wants us to think beyond that. And again, it's a matter, but he thinks beyond the forms.
Yeah, I mean the metaphors and philosophy does show. That's why I said you need more time to kind of engage with it and process. So yeah.
He considers that the Indian audience can understand more, better way, can interpret his works. I mean, more closely to his works. That's what he considers, and he was very happy to be here, to be part of his work.
그러니까 메타포와 상징을 가지고 만났을 때 가장 친밀도가 있고 이해도가 빠른 사람이 나는 문도프이라고 생각이 들어서요. 만나보니까 외국 다니면서 그래서 전시 조금 더 보시고 다시 이 자리에 모여서 질문을 하면 질문은 잘못된 게 없어요. 틀린 질문도 없어요. 이 사람이 곤충이 인간보다 로우하다는 것도 이 사람 생각이니까 존중해 줘야 된다. 이걸 넌 틀렸다라고 말하는 순간에 싸움이 시작되고 분쟁이 됩니다. 그러니까 10분 지난 뒤에 다시 여기서 시간이 괜찮으면 모이자. 그러면 내가 다시 또 질문에 답하겠다.
Yeah, like Chris said, the metaphor needs time. So after looking at more and then ask any question to him, actually according to him, he said there's no correct question and no wrong question. And then you can look around.
How much time do you utilize with one?
Yeah, normally one month pass.
I mentioned about the cockroaches that his engagement is like 1 month drawing. I mean, through his friend, I got to know, I asked him what he is doing. He said he is drawing cockroaches. He said, what it is happening? Then he said, like, for the last 1 month he's drawing cockroaches. So that's actually, it's not about physically working on the canvas. Actually, it's the engagement with the materials. It's like somewhere, like it's not time bound or anything.
One more thing I want. One more thing. This medium on which is portrayed is so fragile. Paper. So like we do it on canvas.
No, it's actually, yeah.
Like that.
So lifetime. Then a canvas. Canvas actually 50 years. Is what it is considered. Oil paints or anything. But this paper was considered like scientifically, they now calculate like 350 years was the deterioration when they calculate. They consider this can withstand 1000 years because of it. That's why he stick to the traditional process and organic process. So as per that one, and so this one have some limitations. Not like the canvas, he cannot make mistakes. But the thing is that that's where he practices, are trying to do the sketches and other things. Then he goes to the main one. It's not like you can paint and erase again and again. Yes. Yes, yes. Yeah. Normally, yeah.
이
힌트.
그림이 굉장히 지금 종이가 크잖아요.
좀.
근데 어떻게 그리셨는지 큰 종이다. 종이에다 어떻게 그리셨는지.
사실은 아무 문제가 안 돼요. 위에다 붙여놓고 붙이든 밑에 놓고 기어다니든 아무 문제가 돼요. 이 위에다가 개미에게 먹을 묻혀놓고 놔둬도 개미가 다 그리고 다닐 수 있어요. 이거 문제가 되는 게 아니고.
On behalf of him, even ants can draw.
I have a question. So if the metaphor is time, does it also include timeless?
That should be at least.
Metaphor
메타포.
is time. It doesn't have timelessness. Timeless. Metaphor goes further.
그 어떤 그림을 그릴 때에는
여러분 시간에
그렇죠. 그 그림을 그릴 때에는 머릿속에서 5만 가지 가능성을 다 염두에 두고 펼쳐나가는 거예요. 펼쳐나가는데 그걸 가면서 계속 지우고 더 이상 지울 수 없는 메타포를 잡고 그걸 표현하는 거예요.
So when he planned to draw art, and he initially he had a lot of numerous ideas. So while drawing drawing a picture, and then he removed the unnecessary thing, and then he finally got the
Abstract.
final metaphor.
자, 예를 들어보면 이런 거예요. 그 메타포가 이제 작가의 고유한 성질인데 아무도 없는 그 광야에서 넓은 땅에서 아름답고 아름다움을 마음을 가진 젊은 남녀가 아주 아름다운 사랑을 나누는 것을 그려라 라고 만약에 이게 주제를 주면 어떻게 그 메타포를 그릴 것인가를 생각해 요.
So on the canvas, on the hanji, current paper. So what if you assert a proposal from him to draw the love between couple in the wild field? In the case of how will you draw? How will you extract metaphor from it?
자, 그러면 어떤 사람은요, 몇 가지 방법이 어떤 사람은 두 사람이 아름답게 사랑을 하고 껴안고 있는 사람을 그린 것도 있겠죠. 아, 괜찮아요. 그건 미성년자가
So
있어요.
maybe
Yeah, actually, if
so
you
maybe some people will draw the physically
human drawing.
human
Yeah.
physically the love.
Yeah.
In Indian book it is
Physically, you have to depict a love
자,
up to how to say.
그러겠죠? 그리고 어떤 사람은요, 말을 잡는 데 쓰고 있는 나무를 딱 꽂아놓고 그림을 그리면 말을 잡는 나무 장대가 꽂혀 있으면 거기는 들어가는 데가 아니에요. 그건 남녀가 둘이 사랑을 하고 있다는 상징이에요. 북방 쪽 사람은.
말에
말을 잡으러 다니는 긴 장대를 땅에다 꽂아놓으면 밑에 풀이 있고 장대를 꽂아놓으면 젊은 남녀가 사랑을 나누고 있다라고 상징하는 이 메타포예요. 그 나라 사람.
In a certain place, where grow the high grass grows. So if they want to have love, then they stand a long stick,
Okay.
and then everyone will know
Ah.
what they are.
Don't disturb.
그리고 어떤 사람은 뒤에 한번 돌아보세요. 뒤로 돌아보세요.
And some people grow like this.
어떤 사람은 뒤로 돌아보세요. 하얀 옷 뒤에 빨갛고 노랗고 초록색 꽃무늬 하얀 옷에 물들어 있는 것을 그리는 화가도 있어요.
So if you, some people draw for express for love. So maybe on the white color canvas. So they can also draw with mixture of yellow color, white color, and sorry, black color, and pink, red color, and the mix of them.
그러니까 꽃물이 들어있는 거예요. 옷에. 그걸 그린다는 거예요. 그건 무슨 말이냐면 얼마나 꽃이 아름답게 표현돼서 남녀가 둘이 사랑을 했냐는 것을 표시하는 거예요. 지금 이해를 잘 안 되니 메타포가 그런 거라고요.
So you can imagine that you took one couple is on the grass. Okay, they after making
Especially in
one.
the flower. The
Yeah.
garden,
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, so
We understand.
yeah, after that you will mark on the
Back.
back side. So some painter will draw some drawing and any marks on the back. That is,
kind of
we can imagine that two people had some. Yeah.
또 어떤 화가는 남자와 여자가 앉아 있는 자리만 빼고 그 주변에 하얀 꽃잎이 떨어져 있는 것을 그려요. 그러면 둘이 앉아 있는 자리만 꽃잎이 떨어져 있지 않는 거예요. 대신 둘이 누워 있고.
yes, some people will draw four white color flowers, except the place where one couple is.
Lie down.
혹시 메타포는 그런 거예요.
Yes, so this method, those are methods.
계속 꼬리를 물고.
선생님이라면 어떻게
You
해주실 거예요?
can see in the work, there is also another one work with that one. So he uses the same because that's the example of the work is there, present here.
And also you could see his journey from, he created to his new work. These are his new works,
Yes.
right? Yeah, from human forms to now your journey is quite
Human to
힘이 있어야지. 나 때문에
아니,
못 알아들어.
그러니까 사람 인물 하였다가 어느 또 섹션 가면은 조그만한 있는 친구가 왜 그런 차이가 있다고
나는
philosophical journey.
내가 그리고 싶은
어떤 여자 선생님 없어요.
내가 그리고 싶은 걸 그리고 바퀴벌레가 나를 그려달라고 내 눈을 끌어당기면 그래요. 내가 그리고 싶어서 그린 것도 있지만 때에 따라서 산이 또는 돼지가 소가 나를 그려달라고 부르는 소리가 들릴 때 그리는 거예요.
There is no particular journey. So instead, he just depicts whatever he feels. Yeah, that's
I have a question too. So as an artist, so if your drawing has a many symbols, but his metaphor,
I think
his
you can
intention.
directly ask in Hangul. She can translate. Oh, yeah, no. We also
Yeah. So his metaphor might be different from our understanding. So is it okay for you to, for the audience to understand differently, individually?
So he already told me. So whatever you think of, though against his metaphor, his image, his ideas, so it doesn't matter. Okay. So each one's idea is though his although these are his art of works, but what you feel is can be different. So he never insisted you audience should follow my idea. No.
그
He he doesn't think like
이 인디아도 마찬가지인데요. 동양에서는 화가가 그림을 잘 그린 그림을 보고 야, 잘 그렸다, 근사하다, 사실적이다 이런 이야기를 하지 않아요. 동양에서는 하지 않아요.
so in Oriental
페인팅.
culture. So normally, when a painter, when an artist draw very well or realistic, so the Oriental people, Asian people never praise him.
He's not appreciated.
To be good at drawing.
서양 영향을 받은 나라는 반드시 잘 그렸다라고 표현을 해요.
So on the contrary, so in Western society, Western culture,
좋다, 잘 그렸다, 훌륭하다 이렇게.
so only an artist who can good at painting, so can be praised by the Western.
그러나 인도도, 중국도, 티벳도, 한국도, 일본도 표현이 있어요. 다 동일해요. 동양에서 문화 뭐라고 하냐면 뜻을 표현했다. 뜻, 의미, means. 뜻을 표현 잘해.
So Oriental culture, including Mongolia or China, Japan, Korea. So the art, an artist who are good at painting is not just good at painting, realistic, but express his idea on the canvas.
설명이 너무 기니까 이제 너무 구체적인
They
거예요.
convey the artist's idea to
뜻을 얻었다. 뜻을 얻었다. 뜻을 얻었다 하면 그게 최고 그림이에요. 뜻을 얻었다. 이 작가는 뜻을 얻었다. 자기가 뜻을 그린 게 아니에요. 얻었어. 신으로부터 얻은 거예요. 신으로부터 뜻을 얻은 거예요.
Let the artists do anything, they try to convey, isn't that what most artists do anyway, to express or convey what they're feeling? I mean, I think it's all artists do that, right? They try to convey their idea to
Yes,
precisely in their
he
idea.
also tries to convey his idea on the art, but in spite of it, so whatever you feel on his work, you can feel it.
Yeah, engagement with the audience.
집 앞에 있는 계곡에 비가 오면 이 잉어, 붕어를 잡아먹기 위해서 맨날 나가요. 우리 집에서 주는 꽁치, 고등어 이런 걸로 양이 안 차. 내가 길렀던 작업실에 있는 어항 속에 있는 금붕어를 잡아먹어요. 그러니까 이 고양이는 그걸 안 먹으면 본인 스스로 생명성이 없어지는 거예요. 그만큼 필요한 거예요. 만약에 필요하니까 큰 이렇게 붕어가 오니까 기다렸다가 발로 탁 때려서 잡아먹어요. 이 붕어는 눈 안에 튀어나오려고 그래요. 막 바라가니까 눈 안에 튀어나와 있죠. 입은 막 쫙 벌리고 있고. 그런데 이 붕어를 제일 먼저 고양이가 먹는 것은 뭐냐면 창자예요. 모든 동물, 양, 소, 뭐 돼지 이것이 야생동물이 먹는 것은 창자를 먼저 먹어요. 제일 맛있어요. 창자를 먹기 위해서 어떻게 해죠? 사람이 복숭아도 마찬가지, 사람 여성도 마찬가지. 이게
I want you also to be there.
되는
No,
것은
I want you to be there.
굉장히
When you're
감싸고
translating, like, you'll be
복숭아도
there.
감싸고 있고 여성을 잡고 막 감싸고 있는 거잖아요. 소중하니까 다 몇 겹에 감싸고 있는 거거든요. 그래서 이것도 창자가 있는 것은 살을 갈리뼈로 감싸고 있는 것을 감싸고 있어요. 그런데 고양이가 이것을 잡아 먹었어요. 근데 고양이가 안 보이는 거예요. 그래서 찾으러 다녔어요. 그랬더니 가시, 창자에 있는 가시들이 띄엄띄엄 흩어져 있었어요. 이 가시 끝에 고양이 목에서 나오는 피가 묻어있고, 즉 고양이가 지가 몸에 좋다고 물고기를 잡아먹었지만 결국은 남을 죽이려면 자기도 죽는다는 거죠. 그래서 물고기를 통해서 내가 그리려고 하는 것은 남에게 해코지 하면 너도 해코지 당한다. 이 이야기를 그리려고 해요. 물고기도 붕어도 아무것도 지금 없어졌어요. 바로 그 이야기를 전하고 싶은 이야기예요. 이게 메타포예요.
Do you need to extend your explanation? No. You
한국
already explained.
사람들, 한국 사람들이 이해하죠. 이렇게까지 생각을 하나 얘기해요.
So I explain to the
여러분,
final
설명해보세요.
final metaphor. So the metaphor he tries to express in the painting is if anyone harm to other, so definitely that person will be killed by the other one. Understand? No?
Yeah.
It's a cycle.
Yeah, kind of cycle.
Karma
So if I suppose to harm her, though she's not, she cannot harm me, but later on someone will definitely harm me. So yeah, that is what he wants to express here.